All right.
All right. Great. Hello. Welcome, everyone, to the Monday, April 13th, 2020, Burlington, Vermont COVID-19 update. Let me just start today. I wanted to share kind of a few thoughts, overarching thoughts, and then we'll get into some updates, and we do have a couple guests for later in the show. So today marks 5 weeks since the emergency in Burlington began, and it is also 5 weeks now, almost a full 5 weeks until May 15th, when Governor Scott has indicated he is anticipating lifting the stay home, stay safe order. There's of course some uncertainty in that, but I appreciate it, totally support the governor in him making that extension. And from everything I can see, it's consistent with a date that should be the date when we see infections drop to a level that we can restart sectors of our economy. So it does strike me as a significant moment. We're well into this, and we have maybe 5 weeks to go still in this current stay home, stay safe posture. And we know that even when we get to that milestone of that being lifted, there will be a need to stay vigilant beyond there. So it just, as we start off this week of April 13th, it is, I think many times over the last 5 weeks, it has felt like this is a sprint. Certainly we have seen incredibly urgent action being taken by our healthcare workers, by our hospital, by first responders, by various agencies of the state that are have the responsibility of moving quickly and standing up this emergency response. At times, the city has had to react in that way as well. It is, I think, good to remember at the same time, this is such a challenge because it is both a sprint at times, and we will have more sprints ahead of us. And we're going to talk today about an area where there's a new potential outbreak. It is also a marathon. It is also something that we all need to pace ourselves. We need to remind ourselves that we have to stay vigilant and keep doing this work for a significant amount of time. And we should keep working on our systems, whether in the household or as organizations, to make it through both this stay home posture as well as the likely periods beyond when we're going to continue to have when social distancing and good hygiene, all the things that we've been doing with the virus have been important. To that end, we're adding a feature to the presentation today. We've at times had focus on cultural efforts, things the city is doing to try to make this stay home posture easier to bear, create more offerings and opportunity. We're going to do that again today with our library, which has just an enormous number of things going on in response to this emergency. We're going to have Mary Danko, our outstanding library director, on to talk about that. And it's going to be a regular feature of these briefings going forward. We're going to try to make sure we leave you each day with some information, some opportunity that is going on that you may want to consider taking advantage of. So with that, though, let's first focus on updates about the virus here in Burlington. If you go to the next slide, Olivia, and if you could roll out the couple bullets here. So Burlington Health and Rehab Center is, of course, where we had the first confirmed case in Burlington, and where there's been a lot of real tragedy in recent weeks. And that tragedy has continued. There was another death there as recently as this past Saturday. And we continue to grieve and offer our condolences to all the affected families. I did want to make sure that people were also aware that numerous individuals within the facility are recovering or recovered. It's been a little while since we checked in about this. And so of the 25 residents that are still on site and that are suffering, that have been infected, 19 of those have recovered. So there are still 6 residents, or so is the information we got from the director of the facility earlier today. 6 residents are still continuing to fight and struggle against the virus, but we now have 19 that have fought through it and are better. Staff members were also significantly impacted by this. At this point, this was not initially possible, but with the increase in testing resources that the state has, they have now tested 118 staff members. 17 of them were tested positive, and are, of course, once they do test positive, are isolated and kept from working at the facility until they are cleared to return to work. And one of the things that has made it possible to keep both Burlington Health and Rehab continuing to function at a high level, as well as Birchwood, which we're going to move to in a second, is thanks to the UVM Medical Center, which has supplied supplemental staff to those centers, so that even when they had positive staff who had to step away, staffing was able to continue. Okay, so with Birchwood Terrace, this is another nursing home that has been impacted here in Burlington, one of the many nursing homes around the state and many around the country. And I do think it's worth repeating what Dr. Levine has said, that a facility becoming infected should not be thought of as a scarlet letter for that facility. There are many ways that, not all of which are really at all in control of these nursing homes, that the virus can get into the facility. Birchwood Terrace, we first learned 2 weeks ago that that there was an identified case. In this case, there was very rapid testing available, and at this point, what is known about Birchwood Terrace is that 36 residents have tested positive, and 24 employees. We know that there were 2 more deaths at this facility over the weekend, bringing the total there to 3. And our condolences to the affected families. We did talk with leadership at the facility earlier today, and we are not able to offer, I don't believe, exact figure on how many have recovered at this point. Obviously, it's been less than 2 weeks. It's been just 2 weeks since the first test. So they've not been dealing with this outbreak for as long as Burlington Health and Rehab. I think there's a little bit less confidence, less time has passed to say with confidence that the residents that have fought through and are still continuing to fight the virus have recovered. We will keep you posted about the progress of the residents there in the days ahead. I did want to mention now, and this was mentioned at the governor's press conference this morning as well, there is a 3rd Burlington sensitive facility now, Decker Towers, that there has been a confirmed positive case in. Decker Towers, a resident at Decker Towers notified the Burlington Housing Authority on Saturday that they had tested positive for coronavirus. If people don't know the Decker Towers facility, it's on the lower part of St. Paul Street, and it is that building right across from Carrie's Quick Stop there. And if you know that building, you know it's a very big building. It's one of our largest, it's the tallest building in the state, and there are numerous residents who live in that facility that are elderly and that have underlying health conditions. And so even though it is not a nursing home, it is a facility that the Burlington Housing Authority, which manages it, has been concerned about for some time, and that the city has been concerned about, and that there have been a lot of communications with the state about. And thus, there was a plan, to the credit of the Burlington Housing Authority and the state. There was a plan to move quickly if and when an infection happened in this building. And so one day later, the confirmed case that BHA is aware about was on Saturday. The call went out. The city helped amplify that call to the state that there needed to be, that we need to immediately get a response on the site. And I'm very appreciative of the work the state did to make good on that. So on Sunday, on Easter Sunday, the state had 9 nurses spending hours at the facility, and they tested every resident that was there that day. There were several that were not, they were not able to test yesterday for whatever reason. And my understanding is the plan is to test them today. Staff is also being tested today. And we'll be monitoring that situation. Obviously, we're hoping that it is still that this is something that is very isolated, and the Burlington Housing Authority, to their credit, has actually set up a whole team to move quickly and respond based on what those results show. They've actually staffed that with, brought someone in to make sure that they as an organization could respond quickly when one of their residents became infected, and they're now in the process of implementing that plan. The city will continue to stay in close touch with Burlington Housing Authority, help in any way we can, and continue to work with the state to support any efforts that building needs. And our thoughts are very much with the residents of that building and anyone who has loved ones in that building. Those are the 3 outbreaks, and I guess the third one with Anchor Towers, we're hoping that one in the end doesn't qualify as a widespread outbreak. We have just 1 confirmed case now, and we'll be monitoring that. Let's now move to an update from the Burlington School District. The school district is another institution that has really had its operations turned upside down, dramatically impacted by the virus. Of course, the schools were closed very early in the emergency response, but that didn't mean that the work of the school district stopped in any way. In fact, it has forced the district to respond and do all sorts of new things it's never done before, to expand other capacities that it did have some experience with, but which have been called upon to do things in a larger way and an additional way. And here to share an update on the Burlington School District is the Superintendent, Yao Obeng. Yao, can you hear me? Are you with us?
Can you hear me?
I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Olivia, can you hear me?
I can barely hear you, but Olivia, can you hear better than I am?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Superintendent, your sound is faint, but I can hear you.
Okay, let me try to move my volume up a little bit. I don't know if that'll make a difference. Can you hear me now? How's that?
That's better.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor Weinberger, for the excellent introduction. And yes, I give full heart thanks to our staff who've been working tirelessly prior to closure and during closure as well, too. I will share some updates. We have been providing updates to the community via email and messenger, and hope people have been receiving that information. But I do have things I do want to share with you quickly. First of all, I want to acknowledge that our staff and our curriculum department, in terms of preparing for learning for students, that people should recognize we are in a complex system in terms of, 19% of our students are on IEPs. We've got 60% students who are English learners. And even before the closure, we had close to 50% of our students were getting reduced lunch. And 10% of our students do not have internet access. So those are some pieces we have to consider in terms of planning for our students. Let me start with a little bit around the curriculum piece. The 2 big cohorts that we've been concerned about are around EL and special ed. because of course the remote learning doesn't translate good in the general ed. So we do have EL teachers doing one-on-one work with our EL students as we move to continuity of learning, and our special ed department actually just at closure developed over 700 plans just for remote learning for each individual student. So that was quite impressive that they were able to engage and do that. So that's the primary thing. But one of the messages I've been trying to send to parents is that the primary focus for me right now is around the safety and well-being of our students. Right? I know some parents have asked for more work, and some parents ask for less work. We really do want to have that balance in terms of the mental wellness and mental health of our students, and getting physical activity and getting nutrition as well too. So speaking of nutrition, one thing I do want to update is our food services program. We have been providing food since day one for any students, anyone under 18 can go and retrieve food from any of our 11 sites. I will say that we've been trickling up to 1,600 meals a day and climbing. And currently we're working on how we can provide heated meals for dinner and supper for people who we can't. Of course, over the weekend, we're always able to provide some meals. We've got an excellent food project team that's been working on that. The other area is around childcare. The governor has come forward and has made that an optional service, but we decided that it was one way that we could contribute to trying to stave off this spike of the curve. And we've been able to have a program that's sort of a hybrid. We have an on-site program where currently right now we've got about 14 students there, and it's a family-run program. So we have one instructor per family. So you may have 2 students in a family, and you have one person in order to reduce the amount of contacts with individuals. And we have close to 20 individuals looking at our subsidy program, and these are all for essential service workers in our community, emergency workers, and first responders in that. One message I do want to send to parents out there who are listening is often I've got a lot of communication around their expectations during this time. And, as you know, we moved from maintenance of learning, which was really just the maintaining and cognitive, interactions for students, to continuity of learning, where we're looking at new materials and teachers providing more instruction to students and more contact in terms of their learning. So what we expect from parents would be, and these are the guidelines we're going to use, parents are not expected to instruct or teach their students beyond their normal practice. Right? We're asking parents to partner with their school to monitor students. That's the key thing, to monitor what they're doing, how they're doing, and provide whatever support you can. The primary supports parents can offer is encourage and help students to engage. Right now, really just giving them encouragement, especially if it's an only child and they've been housebound by themselves all during this time, and they're not having much physical contact with anyone. Please monitor how they interact and how maybe they can connect with others online. But now with the remote learning, there'll be an opportunity to connect with their teachers and classmates as well. We also need you to regulate balance between work time and rest time. So we've talked about that in the mental health environment. So the expectation is that parents are following up with teachers and principals as needed. So just primary contact in this next stage in continuity learning is your teacher and your principal. They will be able to provide any sort of solutions to challenges you may have. You have a range from people needing hard copy papers in terms of to work on, internet access, computer devices, all those types of challenges that you may need to sustain your child. That if you can contact your principals, they'll be able to facilitate and support you through that. We're waiting for our continuity of learning plan to be approved by the AOE, and just before I got out, we just received our plan was approved without any adjustments, so that's great. So our team will now go into action and start to implement those pieces. We have until April 20th to make any changes or feedback back to the AOE. But I think what we shared last week on I think it was Thursday or Friday, we shared with the community it's very similar. We won't change that process around too much. Some of the things we're working on is to minimize the amount of the different types of platforms that we use at each grade so that students can get familiar with it, parents can get familiar. I know some parents had some challenges. If they have children like 3 different panels, they might be using multiple different electronic platforms to communicate, and just having to learn those platforms might have been challenged. So we tried to reduce that down to have some consistency. Parents will receive on a Monday a sort of itinerary for the week, so you can plan your week and know that, okay, you're going to get contacted by your teacher on this date and this date, and this is the work that's going to be covered throughout the week, so you can plan your week. And we'll also be providing office hours for our parents as well too. So each school will be able to post their office hours in their weekly newsletter, and you'll know when you can contact your teacher by phone or by email or by some sort of means, to get more information and get some reports around that. So look for that. And once again, it's unfortunate that we're kind of bumped into the April break, and the agency has asked us to follow through with our calendar and have the April break. But if we have to get up and running to start the continuity learning, then there'll be a break. But maybe that might be a good thing where people get a chance to step back a little bit at the same time and give us administration an opportunity to look at what worked well the first week and what kind of changes we need to provide to start for the second week. So that gives you a quick little bit of overview of pretty much all the components that we're working on. There's so many people working behind the scenes to keep the system going, and even our property services staff, they're still going into buildings and sanitize when you're using them for planning and things like that. Everyone's doing their part, and I think the city's doing a great job. Thanks to you, Mayor Weinberger, and your staff. We're collaborating quite well with our staff in terms of our needs and some of your needs, and so hopefully we can continue to do that and get through this, get to a point where we can get back to some sort of sense of normalcy. So that's I'll stop there. And if there's anything else that you really want me to dig deeper, I'd be happy to do that as well.
All right, Superintendent O'Bang, thank you for chiming in and sharing all that. I hope listeners were able to hear the superintendent. There's a ton of work happening at the district. Superintendent O'Bang, thank you for your leadership throughout this crisis. I think it has been really remarkable how quickly the school has moved on many different fronts. I say that as mayor, but also as a parent of 2 kids in the district. It is heartwarming to see the 2 of them, one a kindergartner, the other an 8th grader, continuing to learn, continuing to be able to engage with their teachers and their friends despite these circumstances. We have the slide up on the screen still about the Burlington School Food Project. I do just want to literally amplify, since I think it may have been hard for some people to hear, the superintendent's note that in addition to the 1,600 meals that this project is currently distributing, playing this key role in making sure that everyone in our community stays fed through this emergency, there is now work underway to look at whether a third meal, that 1,600 meal includes 2 meals a day for many kids in the community. There's now an exploration of whether a third meal a day could be considered for people under 18. And thanks again. Whenever we talk about the school food project, do want to make a note that the city's Parks and Rec and Waterfront Department has really played a key complementary role in helping those sites succeed. Exciting, appreciated, Superintendent O'Bang, that teachers are now going to have office hours, and that the continuation of learning plan has, I think you said you're either waiting for it to be approved or was just approved by the Department of Education. I appreciate that step is being taken to really try to formalize guidance from the state, expectations about how education is supposed to continue in this unique time, that it's not just being kind of left looser than that there is this actual plan that has been developed in recent works. So thank you for that, Superintendent. We're going to go to the final item of the day, which is a discussion with Mary Danko, our Director of the Fletcher Free Library, about the many new services and virtual programs to support the community that the library has added in recent weeks. And one of the entertaining ones is pictured right there on the screen. There turns out there are these very active gnomes in the community that are showing up in surprising places, and I see that they have joined us for this presentation. And have we succeeded in getting you here as well, Mary?
Yes, I think you can hear me okay, right?
Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
Much better.
Yes, so I think we're really excited to be here for the community. It's different that we don't have our physical building open, because that's how we're used to serving so many of the Burlingtonians. But we're really excited that we've been able to expand and be available for folks in these new virtual ways. And we have new services and new programs, and we're here for you. So as we move forward, I can tell you about some of the things that we're doing. And I don't know, Olivia, I think you have control of the slides. There we go. So we've always had digital services at the library, like ebooks and e-audiobooks that folks can download, but we've expanded those. We've boosted those, so there's more. Hopefully there's not as long of a hold list. They go on hold just like regular physical books. We've added Tumble Books, which is great for kids. It's like an ebook, but it has a lot of interactive components to it. So if you're at home with your kids, I would recommend checking those out. And on our website, and this is where you get access to all these digital options, is through our website. There is a tab called Youth, and under there we have a home learning page, and our librarians have gone and vetted all kinds of online resources that you can find there, including Tumble Books. And I want to make a point of saying, if you've been reluctant to try any of these digital services, please give them a try. We are available. We have our website chat. We've got we'll talk to you by phone. We'll talk to you by email. Our librarians are ready to talk to you about how to get these. We know that there's a little bit of a lift to get started, but once you get started, it's really easy, and there's a lot there. Let's see what else we've got. There's our daily Gnome posts, as the mayor was talking about. So for some of you that don't know, the gnomes were kind of hiding around our library for a long time, and now they've gotten out into the world, and they're out helping us promote library services on our social media. So if you can follow us on either Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you'll see them pop up there. We've added a poem on our answering machine. So if you want to hear one of our librarians' voices, you can call up and hear a poem, and we'd love to hear back from you and how you like the poem. Also, we've started an activity sheet for youth, and you can find that on the website as well. And if you complete a certain amount of the activities, you can be in a raffle to win a Phoenix book card. So we're excited about that. We're trying to incentivize some of these fun activities that we have out there. And we are hoping this week we should, weather permitting, start going to the Burlington meal site pickups, and we will have tables there with free books for kids. We have a system in place, so we'll be practicing, good social distancing, and people will be able to come up and pick out books. If kids are there, they can pick them out for themselves, or if parents or caregivers are there, they can come pick out books for kids at home. And so we're going to try and hit each site once a week.
That's I was excited when I heard about that, Mary, that these 11 different hubs that have become this lifeline in terms of food for so many, that we're kind of building on that infrastructure and starting to use those sites to get other critical resources to people during this emergency. I think it's great that you're doing that with the library resources. I know the district has used those sites as well to distribute some educational materials, particularly as the superintendent noted, there are some households in our community that don't have good digital access, although there have been many attempts to try to expand digital access to all. To people that aren't able to access these resources digitally, having these food sites is a great kind of supplemental strategy. So I'm glad the library's enriching that as well.
Yeah, we're excited to get, the books out to folks. And, books are during this time, they can be such a great escape too, individually for the reader, but they also can be a way to for the families to interact in new ways by having book read alouds as well. So we're excited about that. We're also really excited about this virtual calendar that we put together. We know that families are getting all kinds of information at them about different things that they can do. What we've done is we've organized it in a way that is a calendar. So if it's today, like today is Monday, April 13th, you can go to our calendar and you can see different events that you can go and participate in. Some of them, most of them, I would say right now are recommended events that our librarians, again, have vetted, had made sure that they are a good event, not a lot of ads, that are, a high quality event, and you can just click on it and it'll take you to the link. We're also creating a lot of our own original content. So today, one of our children's librarians, Megan, had her first Zoom story time, and it was awesome. We had 4 families show up, and if you, again, you can find it on the website. You just sign up for it, and we'll give you the Zoom link, and you can see Megan live reading a story and sing songs with her too. We also have adult book discussions. We're doing a David Copperfield book discussion. And for those of you that don't know, David Copperfield, that's written by Charles Dickens, was actually written in a serialized form, and it came out every week. So there's, I believe, 64 chapters. We're reading 5 chapters a week, a little bit more than one a week. And we've had our first meeting for that. We've had our English language learning classes pivot over to Zoom, and we've had people attending that. So lots of things that you can find on this digital calendar. And again, just pointing out, we are here for you, that we have a chat feature on our website, which people have been really loving. If you don't have a library card, go to our website. You can still fill out a form and we will get you a library card, email, phone. We want to be in touch with you. We're here for you. And since we're closed, we can't give you physical materials. If you happen to have some, just keep them. There's no fines right now. Everything has been extended through May. And for folks who don't have Wi-Fi at home, our Wi-Fi is still on at the library, and we actually worked with Burlington Telecom to boost it. So if you're in that side parking lot, you should get a nice strong signal there.
Wow, Mary, what a thoughtful additional service there. I hadn't heard about that one yet. So that is great, Mary. Thank you for everything that you've been doing to adapt. And that is, I love the calendar, chock full of offerings. I know those are valuable services, people looking for content to help with their kids and otherwise break down social isolation. It's great that the library is part of those critical needs right now, addressing those critical needs. And those are great new glasses there, Mary. I hadn't seen those before though.
Thank you.
Seem very spring-like and ready for the holiday. So, all right, I think that is going to do it for the presentation. Are there questions? Yeah.
Yes. How many residents are at Decker Towers, and how many staff members are there? You mentioned that all of.
Yeah, my understanding is there's approximately 150 to 170 residents. I don't have an exact figure, but it's a significant number, 150 to 170. And I don't have the number of staff for you. We may be able to follow up by email with you on that and get you that.
Okay. And when are you expecting to have results back?
The results are expected back today. on the first round of testing. There's some supplemental testing happening today again that wouldn't be ready until tomorrow. But this is something that I do think should be seen as progress from where we started in this pandemic, where testing there wasn't enough of it. If this positive had happened 3 weeks ago, there wouldn't be this possibility of immediately testing everybody and then attempting to use those results in kind of real time and isolate whoever does test positive. The fact that this is able to happen now and get the test results back in about 24 hours, hopefully will really mean that the problems there within this sensitive facility can be contained.
Sure. And is there anything that staff members there or anyone needs to do differently? I know that you mentioned that you hope that this is not the next outbreak site, but given the other two facilities,
right,
should anything be done differently that's not already happening?
So with someone confirmed positive, then an assessment is made. Can that individual, with their living situation and their needs, isolate at home, or do they need to get help in some other way? Do they need to go to some other location, even if they don't need hospitalization services at this point in their infection? And that is one of the things that will be done with the test results. The staff, again, it's Burlington Housing Authority. This is a organization that manages numerous facilities within this community, low-income facilities. They have an excellent board, and they have been working hard for weeks to change cleaning protocols within the buildings. So it's definitely they have a response team organized within the organization to get information and make changes with it. So it is by no means sort of business as usual within these facilities. They're being quite vigilant. At the same time, it's important that people understand these facilities are not nursing homes. They don't have on-site healthcare workers in the same way. There's that level of service being provided, and there's that level of capacity to care for people. So this is one of the reasons why for weeks now there has been an attempt to stand up this COVID-19 recovery center, which is still not open yet, but which you've heard about in some of these past briefings. And the goal of the state is to get it open this week. Some people from a building like BHA or another setting like that, if it's determined they can't isolate at home, but they can't be hospitalized, that's why we need a facility like this Holiday Inn facility that should be open soon. I think the state has some other options until that's open for supporting people, but it's very much a partnership between the local housing organization and the State Department of Health, because once housing agencies, organizations on their own don't have they're not medical facilities. They need support and assistance from the state in order to properly care for people who are infected in some situations. Some people can safely just close their door, and they're mildly enough infected that there's confidence that they're that they just need maybe a little bit of help getting food brought to them on some regular basis. The state is working with the facilities in that respect as well. So there's a whole range of things, everything from kind of maintenance and operations to how you support individuals that these organizations are trying to adapt to very quickly and have been planning for some time.
And last question, thoughts on the Jazz Fest being canceled?
Yes, it's tough to hear, right? I mean, it's another piece of the great Burlington summer that is being impacted by this. Pales in comparison to some of the other tragedies that members of our community have had to deal with, but significant nonetheless. This has been for over 35 years such a significant part of Burlington summer. and we will not see that happening the first 10 days of June. I support the decision. I think it's the right decision. It is almost surely not the last significant event in Burlington and Vermont during the summer that is going to have to be rethought. My understanding is the organizers are going to take a little bit of a wait and see attitude, and there may be possible to reschedule some element of it before the season is completely lost. But this kind of goes to what I've been really trying to communicate for a couple of weeks now is this, we all have to, I think this is an example of why we have to prepare ourselves for life, not going back to normal for some time, even beyond the end of the stay-home order. This virus is still going to be a threat. It's still going to be out there. We are very unlikely to have a vaccine, certainly by within less than a year. We may get fortunate. Maybe there will be therapies that will be developed that will allow us to have much sort of less fear about the virus than we do today. Right now, we really have very limited abilities to help certain patients, and that's one of the things that's so scary about it. Maybe that will change, and then that will be a difference. But the likely case right now, it seems, is that even when the stay-home order is lifted, there is likely to be a period where it's not safe to have large gatherings. This is a recognition of that. There will probably be more, and I think we all just we have to understand and be kind of. I guess why I stress that I think it's important for us to understand and get ready for it is I think it suggests that we need to be patient with each other. We need to be patient with and supportive of each other through an extended period here. People should not expect that the sacrifice is going to end on a sharp date like May 15th. At the same time, I think it's always worth it with reminding people that the reason the governor can say with some optimism and some confidence that there will be some part of the order lifted on May 15th is because the social distancing is working, the curve is being flattened, our healthcare systems do seem to be, quite clearly are going to be able to deal with this surge. And what is our jobs now is to make sure we can get there. We have to keep up this social distancing. We have to wear the covering face masks. I liked walking in today and seeing both of you guys wearing your masks when I'm out and about. I think the message has largely gotten out there, but it's not universally understood yet that this is one of the things that we can do when we have to be out of our homes to further ensure that the spread of the virus happens slowly and that we reduce the infections and can get to a place where we can start reopening society. Olivia, any further questions?
No questions on my end today.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Stay safe. We will see some of you at the city council meeting tonight. We are having the first the newly assembled city council with 3 councilors, the first full meeting. We had the organizational day last Monday. And then we will be back here on tomorrow. Our plan is to have another briefing tomorrow at 2. Wednesday, we will have the mayor's coffee for anyone who wants to tune into that. It's really become the Zoom calls have been working well for that. That is scheduled for 9 to 10 on Wednesday. And then we'll share tomorrow some additional information about the Thursday town meeting on mental health issues that the city is helping to coordinate and helping to plan. That's what we got for today. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, everybody.